Alright guys, morning of day 2 of the 30-day thrash on the 55 Chevy 4-door. So I had to go up here to the store. I had to get some water, some dog food, and I got some Gatorade. And I might have got some little miniature candy bar things. Might have, just me. Anyway, where I live, there's paved side roads everywhere on the backside, you know, and anyway, I always get on these paved side roads. They're 2 miles out of the way from me going to the store, but the diva here likes to have her head out the window and get her face full of wind, I guess. Don't you, Kiki? Anyway, I drive about, yeah, we're going about 19-20 miles an hour right now, but anyway, gotta get my day started. Gonna work on the front suspension stuff again today. And I gotta tell you, I am sore as hell, man. Oh well, it's gotta be done, right? Get back with y'all in a minute. All right, guys, gonna show you something here. I had to dump out a box of miscellaneous hardware for like suspension for Tri-5 Chevy that I had laying around. I was actually looking for another set of these, and I kind of want to show you here. This is something to check for if you're rebuilding your front suspension. See that deep groove worn around right here? That thing is deep, man. That is super deep. So that washer's getting thin. So you want to replace these. If they're worn like that, don't use them. These are from years and years of wear and tear. And this car, it's had lived down a dirt road, like pothole dirt road, because all of the suspension was just wore slap out on this thing. That's why somebody had already replaced 3 of the ball joints and all 4 tie rods. But anyway, I finally found the set that come off of those new tubulars. Now, I had thrown the lowers outside for quite a few years, so these got rusty, but these aren't worn. They do have a line around them, but that's just from where it was pressed and made. These reproductions here have it's more of a flat spot there where the bolt would go, and then it curves up. The originals are completely just domed. So anyway, I'm gonna soak these in muriatic acid, get them cleaned up, and then blast them, and then paint them silver or something. I'll figure something out. Anyway, those are worn, replace those. I did notice that you can buy new cross shafts with bushings, so that's kind of might be the way to go, because they're, you know, it's kind of a set. I didn't notice if it come with new washers or bolts or not. It'd be nice if it did. I gotta say, guys, I mean, it's just, a little bit more work. Really probably 5 more minutes of work to weld that A-arm to a long piece of square tubing like that, or pipe, and then put that socket over there and hammering them on. I don't have a press, so I gotta hammer them, but I do it even pressure, or when I try to hit it level anyway. But I gotta say, when you weld that A-arm to that, it gets this area of the A-arm hot, and those bushings, they drive in kind of nice. It's not super easy. You really got to put some whack to it, but dang, man, I'm really liking that. The biggest part is I can stand it up on its end like that. So, always before I would put a piece of pipe that was cut to fit in between these, and then I'd have to set it on something on that edge to hammer them in, and this just kind of gives me that stand to hold on to it. So that's pretty awesome. Talk about redneck, man. I guarantee if there's a redneck way to come up with something, I'll do it. But I only got 2 tack welds on this one. It would have been too hard to tack the other side and try to get in there and cut them off, so I just did a tack there and there. So I cut it like right about in the middle on each side with a cutoff wheel. And then I go back with the Roloc with 36, smooth it up where it's pretty much almost gone, and then finish it up with a 2-inch Scotch disc, and it cleans it off real nice. But man, I tell you, that's freaking awesome. These both the uppers had some pitting in them. There's a little bit up through here. I mean, it's kind of light. It's really not as bad as some of them I've seen, but anyway, that's where I cut the welds loose, and I did it with a 36 grit roll lock, and then I went back with a red Scotch-Brite disc 2-inch on the roll lock or on the angle grinder and smoothed it back off so that it gets all the heavy grind marks out. But it didn't thin out the material. It's the same thickness all the way. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I have offset cross shafts up here for the uppers, which I read that that offset cross shaft is really, it's kind of needed if you go with power steering, and that may be something we add later to this car. Since it's going to be my wife's, we may put power steering on it. So anyway, I don't really know why you have to change the cross shafts to get 2 more degrees from changing power steering, but I've never put power steering on a 55 before, 6 or 7, so if they say you gotta have it, then you gotta have it. But the only reason I use them is because they're here. I mean, for now, I'll just put a stack of shims in each side. I don't really care, but anyway, I got one more coil spring to blast, and then all the front suspension stuff will be ready to paint, minus the steering linkage, which I'm going to wait on that. Actually, I guess I can go ahead and do it right now. I don't know what time it is. It's got to be getting close to, I'd say probably close to 4:30. Anyway, I'm going to let my compressor cool another 20 or 30 minutes probably, then I'll blast that coil spring. And then I guess I'll put the knotted cut brush on the grinder and work on that steering linkage, clean it up a little bit. That's a lot of work, redoing A-arms. You know, if you're not worrying about making them real nice and smooth to paint them, you know, it'd go a lot faster. But if I'm going to paint something, I sure might as well go ahead and do you know, a decent job of cleaning on it, and smoothing them up a little bit. Anyway, guys, we'll keep on working. Man, this is taking forever. So these are the washers, the lock washers, and the bolts for the control arm bushings. Anyway, this was, you know, it was pretty nasty. I put it in muriatic acid, cleaned them all up, and then I wire wheeled all the bolts in the washers, and then the big washers here, I actually blasted them in the little box over there, because that muriatic acid, when you rinse it off, it just flash rusts immediately. But anyway, this is a Duplicolor engine enamel, which is what I like to use if I'm going to use spray paint. But this Universal Gold, I mean, this is a little light. It looks nothing like the Gold CAD like Grade 8 hardware should, but you know, it's definitely going to work. It's you know, keep it from rusting. It's going to rust on the edges after I bolt it down, you know, where the socket gets on it, but I'm good with it. All right, guys, it is the end of day 2. It is, I think it's a little after 5, about 5:20 maybe, 5:30, who cares, but I am beat. I'm telling you, that was all day long again. So day 2 is over. Now, tomorrow, I will be painting all the front suspension parts, what you see there, which is control arms, coil springs. I've got the spindles, the knuckles, and I'm also going to paint the rear end. So those will be painted tomorrow with gloss black, so they'll be super shiny. Now that rear end, I just brought it back in. I had it out there on sawhorses, and I tried blasting it, but then, you know how rear ends get, they get so pitted, and these little portable blasters, you know, they just ain't got enough stuff to get it super clean. I mean, it probably would if I stayed on it long enough, but I pretty much ran out of media, so I got like maybe a coffee cup full down in there. Anyway, I blast all the rough stuff and the hard to reach areas, and I'm going to paint it with POR 15 anyway, so you can paint over rust. But when I get it out in the light in the morning, I might look it over, and I'll probably end up going over it by hand with some sandpaper, just to try to smooth it up just a little bit more. I thought I had another rear end cover here, and when I found it, it had been punched and somebody had put a rubber plug in it, so to drain it, I guess. But so I got to use that one. It's pretty pitted, but it'll work. You know, I don't care. It's not a show car, but anyway. So rear end, all that stuff, spindles and knuckles will be painted gloss black tomorrow. That'd be pretty awesome. And then once that stuff's dry, then I can start assembling it. That rear end's ready to hang on the leaf springs, and then after that I can start building my brake lines, getting them cut and flared to put on there. So it's always the paint stuff that holds me up, man. I tell you, golly, I'm already pretty sore. I know I'm going to be really sore here in a minute, but it's usually after I shower, eat dinner, and when I'm relaxed, you know, and then I go to move. I'm like a 150-year-old man, I think. But anyway, guys, I went ahead and cleaned up. I blew off the driveway real good with the leaf blower because I'm going to move the truck way over there tomorrow, and I'm going to push the four-door body way out by the road. And I've got wires hanging up here, so I'm just going to start hanging parts in the morning. And I'm going to shoot a little etching primer on all this stuff. And as soon as it dries, I'll give it about 30 minutes or so to dry. And then I'm just going to pour the POR 15 gloss black straight in a spray gun, and I'm just going to start painting. That POR 15 gloss black, if you have ever sprayed it out of a spray gun, it makes stuff look like it's powder coated. It flows out. Usually when you brush it, if it's pretty thick and wet, it flows out pretty nice. But anyway, it has an awesome shine to it. But anyway, that's what I'm going to use. So anyway, that's the end of day 2. And as always, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.